What do peacocks, Haldi, green bangles, and royal jewels have in common? Oh boy, another episode of Bridgerton. Cheerio, everyone. This is D Movieman, fellow cinephile, popcorn addict, and emerging film critic, coming to you with reliable recaps, reviews, and reactions. And today, I'm coming to you all with another episode of Bridgerton, Season 2, Episode 6, The Choice. This episode was directed by Tom Verica, who also directed our previous episode. This episode was also written by Lou Igbokwe. She's previously written for the series Bigger in the short film Chula. And now, let us commence. So we open up this episode seeing Queen Charlotte at the palace. She is currently making the final preparations for Anthony and Edwina's wedding, and she's pulling out all the stops. If anything is not good enough for her, it's out of here. We also find out that her plot to unmask Lady Whistledown is still progressing, so much so that she has now taken it upon herself to assign a footman to each young lady suspected of being Lady Whistledown. This cannot be good. We hit our title card, and we then see that the Sharma women are gathered together to participate in a Haldi ceremony. This includes Kate, who thankfully is in much better spirits, considering the last time we saw her, she was breaking down in tears after speaking to Anthony in the woods. Haldi, which actually means turmeric in Hindi, is a traditional Indian pre-wedding event which involves smearing turmeric paste mixed with rose water and gram flour on one's skin. It is believed to cleanse the body by helping keep Buri Nazar or evil spirits away, and it's also meant to help bestow blessings upon the married couple. But as Anthony has his own traditions to follow, the ceremony now falls upon the bride-to-be. Speaking of the bride-to-be, she can hardly keep still. After all, the day that she's been preparing her entire life for is only a day away. But since Haldi can also help an unmarried person find a partner when spread on their skin, Edwina figures it's only right that Kate participate as well. Over at the Featheringtons, we see that Prudence is once again being trapped in the middle of her mother's scheming. This time she's being adorned with Cousin Jack's valuables so that they may draw the attention of potential investors. We also see Madame Delacroix meeting up with Penelope as Penelope inquires about the young apprentice named Theo Sharp. Madame Delacroix is not familiar with him, but she also warns Penelope that if trouble is on the horizon, she can no longer be associated. We also see Kate offering Edwina 2 beautiful green bangles for her wedding the next morning. It's all the more significant because the bangles belong to Kate's mother, who also wore them on her wedding day. Edwina is very hesitant, knowing that Kate's mother saved them for her to wear, but Kate insists anyway. We then fast forward to the wedding at the palace, and unsurprisingly, it is quite the lavish affair. All of our regulars and many, many more are in attendance, which includes Penelope and Eloise. Their conversation takes a bit of a turn once Penelope realizes that, despite her urgent warnings, Eloise is very much determined to continue to meet with Theo. We then see the Duchess of Hastings, aka Daphne, arrive, and again, she tries her best to plead her case to Anthony. Again, to no avail. Daphne tells Anthony that he can choose to be happy and fight for the family and the life that he really wants. But Anthony sets her straight. He tells her that she was born to marry into another family, but that he was born to carry the Bridgerton name. And that reality outweighs everything else. In a last-minute change, Edwina decides that Kate should be the one to wear the bangles. After all, they were her mother's, and they were meant for her. At long last, the wedding that everyone has been awaiting is finally here. We see everyone gathered together, including the Queen and her court. Anthony makes his way inside, followed by Kate, who is holding a bouquet. And of course, Anthony's eyes are lingering upon her as she walks by. Finally, we see Edwina make her way down the aisle in a wedding dress, escorted by Lady Mary, as a quartet version of Sign of the Times by Prince plays in the background. As we proceed, we then hear the Archbishop give his speech, but there's a problem here. You see, Anthony and Edwina are facing each other, but Kate is also standing directly behind Edwina. So, all he has to do is look just past her, and he sees Kate. I was just like, oh my gosh. I'm just thinking, like, if there is any time to be on your best behavior, you would think it would be in front of an audience of people that includes the queen and her court. Like, this is not the time to be getting out of bounds. Oh, but it gets worse. After a certain point, as Anthony continues to stare inappropriately, he doesn't even see Edwina anymore. He doesn't see anyone in the room. What he does see is Kate in her wedding dress. He finally snaps out of it, but not before Edwina turns her head and realizes where his eyes have been this entire time. Then, as he finally prepares to repeat what the Archbishop has just said, in the most perfect timing imaginable, and by perfect I mean not, one of Kate's bangles falls to the floor. And rather than just focus on the ceremony, focusing on the woman he's supposed to be marrying, this man all but pounces on the floor. She crouches down, and now they're both staring at each other. I'm just like, are you serious? Tragically and unsurprisingly, Edwina has taken notice of this little exchange. It appears that the veil has been lifted, not literally, but figuratively. Edwina is breathing hard, is really looking like she's about to pass out. But she does something even worse. She runs away from the altar. It also doesn't help when this massive fireworks display that was meant to celebrate the happy union suddenly goes off outside. Lady Mary and Kate go running after her, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little shook by this whole next exchange we saw. I mean, up until now, Edwina has been very sweet and very mild-mannered, very naive, many of us would say, and some would even go so far as to say boring. But, none of that is happening in this conversation. Or should I say argument? I mean, I get it, but the way she was like kind of bucking and barking and hollering, I was like, what is this? I mean, even her voice changed. She was like, oh, don't deny it, Kate. I was like, wait a minute now. She even asked Kate if she loves Anthony, and Kate can't even give her an answer. I'm thinking, can you at least lie? Maybe that's not a good idea, but I'm just like, this is not the time to be stuttering and stumbling over your words. Like, Lady Mary is equally irritated with Kate, realizing just how much she's kept from the both of them. And with that, Lady Mary dismisses her from the room. At the height of embarrassment and frustration and shock, sadness and confusion and a whole lot more, Kate decides to retreat into a nearby closet. The Queen is understandably heated, not just because this is a failed wedding that she herself has presided over, but as soon as Lady Whistledown catches wind of this, the Queen's taste will be called into question, and she's not having it. She also lets Lady Danbury know that she can share the blame for this as well, because were it not for Lady Danbury, the idea of making Edwina the diamond of the season would have never crossed her mind. Next, we see Anthony speaking to Edwina, and he is doing his best to just encourage her, telling her that, hey, you're the diamond of the season, I'm the Viscount, those are our roles, and we're bound to them, and we have to carry them out. Edwina then asks Anthony if he loves her, and he says, I understand you. I know he's being honest, but dang. And as far as Kate is concerned, Anthony reassures Edwina that Kate is the thorn that is going to be removed from the blossoming flower that is their future together. But this can only happen if Edwina decides to go through with the wedding, which at this point remains to be seen. Kate finally makes her way out of the closet, only to run into Anthony of all people. She runs back inside, he follows, and they then have a conversation, an unwilling one, about what's to be done now. And it ends the way most of their conversations usually do. Confusion, frustration, passion, and disengagement. Next, we see Lady Danbury and Violet having a conversation, and Lady Danbury sincerely apologizes for not cluing Violet into the obvious scheme that's been going on all this time. Despite the Queen wanting her to resolve this situation, Lady Danbury realizes for the first time in her life that she has no idea what to say or what to do. Then she starts chuckling, and Violet starts chuckling, and then all of a sudden they are cracking up. It was a really great moment. We then see Kate having a conversation with Edwina, and she apologizes for everything that is now taking place. But she also promises Edwina that she will do everything in her power to see this wedding still happen, which includes leaving for India. Kate explains all the ways in which she has given everything of herself in order to protect Edwina. But this is not the response that Edwina wants to hear. After all, the only thing worse than Kate's betrayal is her pity. At this point, Edwina knows that whatever she chooses to do, it'll be because it pleases her. Not Anthony, not Kate, no one else but her. Outside, we see Cousin Jack having a conversation discussing potential investments with his gentleman associates. But Will is also there, and it's obvious that he sees right through the entire ruse. But before that conversation can continue, Cousin Jack and Lady Featherington have an aside. They're discussing their strategy for these investments, but things seem to go slightly awry when Cousin Jack appears to be flirting with Lady Featherington. Interesting. We then see Lady Danbury, Violet, Edwina, and Lady Mary meeting with the Queen. The Queen is over this whole situation and definitely over this conversation, as it appears no one can say anything to her that isn't over-the-top, insincere flattery. Although, it is the obvious choice. Then, rather unexpectedly, we see King George rush into the room. Now keep in mind, we saw last season that the king is clearly not in his right mind, which has been causing the Queen a lot of emotional turmoil and anguish and embarrassment, which is why we never see him. It appears that the fireworks display has gotten him all riled up, and now he's rushed into the room and he's thinking like, again, this is his wedding day and the Queen is his bride, like he's completely traveled back to that day. The Queen calls for the guards, they take him away, he breaks away, and amidst all the uncertainty and confusion, Edwina steps forward. She takes charge of the situation and, playing along, she tells him that he should rest before he and the Queen rule the kingdom with the kind of love and compassion and kindness the two of them undoubtedly share. This hits the king in the right place, and he retreats. But it's clear that the moment has affected the Queen as well, and she also leaves the room. Outside, we see Penelope having a conversation with Colin about her hopes and her dreams and her aspirations, and Colin seems to be pretty impressed. He also says that he understands what Lady Crane, aka Marina, meant when he said that Penelope cared for him. But of course, before that moment can go anywhere, the ever so bold Eloise informs Penelope that she's going to run off and visit Theo. And Penelope is not going to change her mind either. Eloise only told her so that there wouldn't be any secrets between the two of them. Well, at least one of them feels that way. However, as Eloise runs off, we see one of the guards looking in her direction. Uh-oh. Next, we see the Queen and Edwina having a conversation in a room, holding and displaying all the royal jewels. The Queen knows that, despite being Edwina's queen, all she can do is allow Edwina to make the best decision for herself in the face of true love. But she also warns her that it is both the hardest and greatest choice she will ever make. Next, we see Anthony and Kate being called to the wedding hall, where Edwina approaches them and informs them that she's made her decision. She cannot marry Anthony because she knows full well what she deserves, and that is not something Anthony is capable of giving her. Love is not deception, or wandering eyes, or a role to be fulfilled. To marry him would be a betrayal to herself. As far as Kate is concerned, Edwina realizes that despite the perception that Kate has always given Edwina all the things that she lacked, Edwina now realizes that what she gave her were all the things that she really wanted for herself. And what she now leaves behind is Kate's dream, Kate's plan, and all of Kate's feelings that Edwina simply borrowed. At last, Edwina has made up her own mind, and that is victory enough for her.
How about that?
As we close out, we then see Eloise and Theo at the printer, bonding over their shared appreciation of new ideas and apparently each other. And as this is happening, we see one of the royal guards watching in the background. We also see Brimsley, the Queen's right-hand man, inform her that their trap for Lady Whistledown has yielded a result. But who exactly is it? Lastly, we see Anthony and Kate, and they both have come to the realization that they have failed at everything that they were meant to do. And now, before this moment leaves, there's only one thing left to do. They quickly, passionately, and deeply slob each other down. What a mess. And that closes out episode 6, The Choice. Whew. I'm gonna be honest. Even though a small part of me thought that things were gonna get worse, there was another part of me that hoped, like, no, it's not gonna be that bad. Ooh, it was that bad. Okay, like, I understand what Kate and Anthony are feeling, but this was not a good look for them. I just was looking at Edwina, and I was just like, who wants to feel like a laughingstock? And I understand that love is blind, and you could say that, she was naive and all that, but it still sucks to feel like this person that you have invested all of your time in, that you have taken on this mindset that this is the one, and this is what my life is supposed to look like, and, this is the path that has been laid before you. And you're thinking like, hey, this is the culmination of my life's purpose. And then it's just like, boom. It just blows up in your face. And it's just like, now what? Where do we go from here? This season is very different from the first, but as far as kind of the mess and these situations that everyone ends up in, very, very similar. And I can only imagine what happens next. So, once again, this is D Movieman signing off, and I'll see you at the movies.